He used to draw manga all the time at school. Even during breaks, he'd cling to his desk, and he was in the manga club too. Total geek. His life revolved around his desk and the world of manga. Oh, you guys are a little put off? Don't mean it that way. And I'm glad you're interested in him. I was looking at David, who was talking with a grin, or rather, I was looking behind him. I could see the bride approaching quickly. Hey, there you are. Long time no see, David said as he approached me. He was a classmate from high school. What was he doing here? He was smiling, but I wasn't happy at all. I've missed you. I heard you hang out here often, so I came by. I was at my usual cafe. You haven't changed at all. You've always been a bookworm, but you're still a loner, surfing the internet? David looked at my laptop on the table and grinned. Meeting someone? No, I came to see you. Saying that, he sat in the open seat in front of me. I wanted to give you this. It's for my wedding. You have to come. I've invited all my classmates. We even planned the after party. So let's all have a good time together after all these years. Don't be messing around. You have to come. We all agreed to attend each other's weddings and funerals, right? It's a full course meal at a first-class hotel. You wouldn't even have a chance unless it was for a wedding. The after party will be fun because the bride's friends will be there, and since she is a flight attendant, there will be a lot of glamorous female guests. After saying everything he wanted, David left. I didn't even feel like opening the envelope and just sat there. My name is Sean. I'm 25 years old. David was my classmate, but we were never close. To be honest, I disliked him. He was smart. His father was a lawyer and pushed him to follow the same path, so he was always busy with tutors and cram school. But with no choice in his future and a strict academic schedule, he must have been under a lot of stress. I often became his stress outlet. He intentionally dropped my lunchbox during lunchtime. He forced his class duties on me. He borrowed my notebook and never returned it to me. The list was endless. I often ended up as teacher's assistant. No one wanted the job, so they pushed each other to do it. At those times, he would successfully push everything on me. Being teacher's assistant was just a fancy term for a convenient handyman. The teacher would call me to distribute handouts. In the classroom, the teacher would instruct me to collect homework assignments from the students. He would annoy me by saying he didn't get it, or make me wait by saying he would file it later. In short, he was a messy man. But since he had good grades, the teachers went easy on him. In a school where academics were prioritized, smart guys were popular. Teenage girls didn't mind his difficult personality, they even thought it was good because he was not too perfect. After looking through the wedding invitation, I contacted Mike. Mike was also a classmate and often supported me when David targeted me. If only David weren't around, school would have been fun. Because of him, the bad memories outweighed the good ones. I saw David today. For his wedding, right? Unbelievable. He used to look down on us with his elite attitude as the law school student. And now he reaches out to us only at a time like this. So, are you going? I wanted to avoid it, but all the friends I was close to were going. They were actually waiting for my call so we could go together. They seemed to worry that David might not invite me alone. This is a great chance to see everyone for a while. If you're not feeling it, you can leave early. Both of us had been busy with work and hadn't seen each other in a while. Weddings and after parties wouldn't be the place to talk to the groom personally so much. We decided to attend together. Outside the cafe window, students walked by. In high school, I used to draw manga all the time. I was even in the manga club. David was not only a good student, but he was also good at sports. I was called a pussy and gloomy for staying in my seat even during lunch break. I thought I could just attend out of obligation and then never see him again. That's what I believed. It was a grand wedding ceremony on the day. 2 generations of lawyers, father and son, would be elite in the eyes of society. David must have been proud of it. Our table was filled with high school friends, and we enjoyed ourselves without paying much attention to the groom. None of us were married yet. We were interested in the ceremony, but also wondered if it had to be so elaborate. The bride and groom frequently left for changing dresses. From a classic wedding dress and white tuxedo to the colorful evening dress and matching formal tuxedo, and even changed to beautiful kimono dresses. They looked like dress-up dolls. During those breaks, professional musicians played the piano, violin, or sang, but we hardly listened. Normally, their friends and family would entertain the guests or even themselves, but since the host spent so much money, we don't have to worry about it. Mike chuckled. After all, the main focus of the ceremony on that day was the bride and the groom. There was a cake cutting, a rice shower, and a bouquet toss. Their frequent dress changings made the ceremony last over hours, and honestly, we were getting bored. We moved to the venue for the after party, but then had to wait over an hour for it to start. The bride and groom hadn't arrived yet. They must have been busy greeting family members and changing clothes. However, some of our friends had come from out of town. They were anxious about the end time. When it finally started, the party was dull, a far cry from the wedding. People were sparse and the party games were not exciting. Originally there were about 40 people, but 1 or 2 left during the wait. The remaining crowd was mostly women. I didn't want to participate in the games, so I just watched. The prizes were unimpressive, and the atmosphere was awkward. Food was limited to snacks and soft drinks. We were fine since we had just had the full course meal, but those who only came for the after party must have been disappointed. Moreover, technical issues prevented the prepared movie from playing, which was a disaster. We weren't interested in David's movie and thought it would be better to end quickly since it started late, but the bride, Lisa, was visibly upset. We were planning to slip out quietly and go for a drink. David, probably trying to salvage the awkward atmosphere, suddenly grabbed the microphone and started speaking. "Thanks for coming to our after party. You all came here looking to meet someone, right? I hope you find happiness like we did. Let me introduce each of the guys here, so ladies, pay attention." He started introducing each person one by one. I had a bad feeling. What could he possibly introduce about me? We hadn't kept in touch at all. He introduced his lawyer friends and college buddies first. When it came to us from high school, he listed everyone as company employees, adding titles like soccer team captain or student council member from those days. Finally, it was my turn. The last one to be introduced is Sean. This guy spent all his school days drawing manga. He'd cling to his desk even during breaks. And he was in the manga club, a total geek. He hated PE and wasn't good at sports. His life revolved around his desk and the world of manga. That's the kind of classmate he was. Oh, you guys are a little put off? Don't mean it that way, and I'm glad you're interested in him. It's not like he's a shut-in. He made it out here today, and he goes to Café Salon, too. Right, Sean? I was looking at David grinning and talking, or rather, I was looking behind him. I could see Lisa approaching quickly. And that was the moment David noticed her presence and turned around. Surprisingly, Lisa's slap burst into David's face. It wasn't just one shot, it was 4 round shots back and forth. Caught off guard, David staggered and leaned against the table with the food. Lisa picked up the microphone that fell from David's hand. A murmur spread through the crowd. "What are you doing? You should be asking yourself that." Holding the microphone, Lisa began to speak to us almost like a campaign speech, half yelling. "Everyone, can you believe that I knew nothing about today's ceremony? I don't know if it was a secret bridal or a surprise. But I feel like I'm the only one who was set up, even involving my family. The dresses, the kimono, the bouquet, none of it was my taste. Even the message to parents was not something I came up with on my own. It was all staged. This is supposed to be a once-in-a-lifetime event. Yet everything was decided without my input. I was about to lose my mind with anger. But since you all came, dealing with outfits and gifts and all, I endured. There are my parents' work associates, bosses, and other important people here. So I thought I could just get through the day. But I'm done. I can't marry this man. Lisa, what are you talking about? For the wedding, you spent your parents' money extravagantly, but for the after party, You rented this tiny room and left everything irresponsibly to others because you didn't want to spend your own money. The food and drinks are also cheap, and it's obvious you're trying to keep it within the budget. It's incredibly rude to the guests. And I've been listening to you insult people, calling them geek and shut-ins. Is that a jab at my sister? If you can openly mock guests, you definitely treat family even worse. I can't stand anything about this. I now know what she meant. It was about Lisa's message to her parents. In front of both families, the MC read out the message in a theatrical voice. There was a part of it in which she referred to her sister. I was wondering too if the part about respecting and loving her little sister who has become a shut-in is a big sister as much as ever should be read out at a place like this. Perhaps that message was a template edited to fit her family situation. David likely did it haphazardly, but it must have been unbearable for her family. No wonder she was angry. Elite lawyer, huh? Aren't lawyers supposed to fight injustice and help people with the power of law? Instead, you mock the weak. You have the knowledge but not the heart. Everyone, this wedding is off. I can't live with a man like this. Laugh at me all you want, but this is the end. In her puffy skirt, dressed like a pretty doll, the bride made her bombshell announcement. We were frozen, not knowing how to react. David slowly stood up, looking stunned as he listened, then spat out, "What are you talking about now?" Despite this, she just get out of here. I never want to see your face again, she said firmly into the microphone, and the groom left with a click of his tongue. Wait a minute, what about us? The bride was crying. Lisa, having said her piece, sighed deeply. Me and Mike, sitting with her between us, quietly glanced at each other and then looked down again. Oh, what's this? Suddenly, the bride noticed the gift bag at my feet. Oh, it's just a sample. Oh my gosh. I'm a fan of Karen. Why are there samples here? Is this going to be sold? Hey, look at this. It's a sample. I was frozen by the sudden turn of events. Her voice drew the bride's friends over in a crowd. Lisa took the microphone again. Everyone, are you hungry? Order whatever you like for delivery. I'll cover it. Don't worry about the gift money, I'll return it. Unlike him, I'm not cheap. Let's have some drinks and enjoy ourselves. With that, the breakup party began, with the MC running out to buy drinks and various deliveries arriving, turning it into a lively event. Getting back to the point, I draw webcomics under the pseudonym Blue Moon. In school, I used to draw fantasy stories, but as I ran out of ideas, I started drawing stories based on real life. My series was called Karen's Life Theater, featuring the same main character each time. Karen, a woman in her 30s, was the protagonist, and her profession changed with each storyline. She got caught in various injustices and absurdities, and unlike in real life, she stood up to her bosses and seniors, saying what needed to be said. This character resonated with women dealing with life's stresses. It started with Nurse Karen in a hospital, then Bride Karen dealing with in-laws, female office worker Karen getting bossed around at work, and now Flight Attendant Karen. Elderly patient hitting on nurses, crazy helicopter parents, a mother-in-law throwing away the meal that her son's wife was cooking. Airline passengers demanding to change seats. I had 3 older sisters, the eldest was a nurse, and the second was a flight attendant. The whole event that Karen was involved in were true stories I got from my own family. The young wife dealing with her tough mother-in-law was modeled after my mom. When I was listening to their stories and choosing the topics, I realized that talking was a stress reliever and that empathy was a powerful thing for people. My sisters, and especially my mom, would recount events in great detail, even from before I was born. My mom emphasized how indifferent my dad, or her husband, was during those times, which always made me uneasy, because I never saw my mother as someone's wife. But the first-hand, real-life content resonated with women in similar situations, growing my fan base. The world is full of injustices. In response, Karen clearly shouted out loud that something was no good, which seemed to clear the minds of those watching. Last year, in collaboration with a grocery store, Karen's Lunchbox series were released. Items included No More Overtime Bento, Too Much Odd Job Sushi Roll, and Don't Be Unreasonable Rice Ball, each with catchy slogans and the characters printed on them. Targeting female office workers, the calorie labeling was very precise, as well as the nutritional content that was missing. The TV commercials, reminiscent of each of the products, featured "Eat up and hang in there, girls," and concluded with Karen's cheering. Megan, the youngest of my 4 older sisters, played a big role in promoting Karen. Megan and I were a year apart, and we were close to each other the most. When I was dealing with David, Megan was also struggling with classmates at school. Eventually, she stopped attending school and rarely left her room. My mom, struggling in her vulnerable position as a daughter-in-law, believed that relationships that could be avoided should be avoided. So she did not force Megan to attend school, but encouraged her to do what she was willing to work on. Megan chose crafts. She sewed clothes for dolls. Although it looked harder than making clothes for people to me, Megan skillfully used fabric scraps to create one-of-a-kind outfits. There was a story behind Megan's dedication to this hobby. There was a 7-year age gap between Megan and the eldest sister. And there was even a 5-year gap with the second sister. We often received hand-me-downs from our older sisters, and the doll Megan inherited was well-worn, with messy hair, a dirty face, and missing shoes. The dolls were in terrible shape, and I felt sorry for Megan, even though I was a little kid too, when she was told to play with them. However, this childhood sadness became Megan's motivation. Encouraged by our mom to pursue whatever she wanted, Megan cleaned the doll's face with nail polish remover and created the unique Karen doll. She matched the outfits to the manga I drew, adding accessories and recreating scenes in puppet shows, which she shared online. Gradually, she began to stage Karen's daily life in a way that only a woman could understand. Moreover, our older sisters joined in, acting out period cramps or dressing up to go out from messy rooms, creating videos that resonated with many. Women of all ages have experienced playing with dolls at least once. So the nostalgia and realism of the subject matter probably made it easy for them to take to it. This venture led Megan to connect with shop owners and doll makers, eventually starting her own online shop, Karen's Boutique. What Lisa found at my feet was a sample of Karen's second product line. Between the wedding and the after-party, I had a meeting with product planners in the hotel lobby. Then they gave me a sample. Karen's quote stickers. These were vinyl holders to be hung from bag handles. They featured Karen's face and catchy slogans printed on them. One destination, even if many paths. There's no younger day than today. If you need me, let me know. I will help you. I'm happy because of me. It's fun because of you. Knowledge is treasure, not just what you learn in school. Leaving on time is what makes a good employee. Dear customer, unreasonable demand for apology is a crime of coercion. No photos allowed, even if they're cute. All these phrases were crowdsourced online. There are various themes for Karen's quote stickers, some for boosting confidence, some for preventing harassment, and some for students preparing for exams. Each one aims to encourage the person carrying it. While these might not change real life, my intention was for them to serve as a brief moment of relief. This is great. The sticker Lisa held said, "Better alone than in bad company." There's no point in forcing yourself. It's my life, why should I care about appearances or what others think? I'll give it to you. I hope this will help you in your future life. Oh, I want one too. I submitted a catchphrase, but mine wasn't chosen. Before I knew it, the area was filled with women dressed up for the after-party, turning the scene into something like an autograph signing event. They were flight attendants, so they were probably more realistic to them. They even started offering more story ideas, inviting me for interviews. I told them I'd get in touch later to keep things manageable at the moment. You've got some nerve, I heard you kicked me out and had an autograph session, right? David was leaning back in his chair across from me. He arrived at the cafe an hour late. It wasn't that I wanted to meet him. He insisted on it, so I reluctantly waited. It had been about 2 weeks since the wedding. I hadn't been in contact with David at all since then. Yet here he was, accusing me right off the bat. I didn't kick you out, nor did I hold an autograph session. Don't lie to me. I heard you were the center of attention as soon as I left. If you say so, you should have stayed until the end. You abandoned the guests who came to celebrate you. The reception ran late. And the bride and groom arrived even later, dragging into the evening. Everyone was stuck with just snacks and soft drinks. The games couldn't start because there weren't enough people, the sound system was awful, there was no video, and the MC was terrible. Even Lisa was complaining. Don't talk about Lisa like you know her. Well, she's not your bride anymore, right? I can only call her by name. So, what's this all about? I'm telling you to stay away from Lisa. I haven't done anything. I heard you're trying to get close to her under the guise of work because she is beautiful, once working as the flight attendant. From whom? That's none of your business. I wondered why I had ever been afraid of this guy. David's bluster and bullying had no real basis. Back then, our teacher, Johnson, always favored him, so I gave up. I thought I couldn't win no matter what I said. He was just a student with good grades, nothing inside. I won't forgive Lisa. Who does she think I am, ruining my wedding? Do you know how much social credibility I've lost? I'll make her pay. I don't know how you can say that. What did you say? I sighed. The angrier and hotter David got, the more disgusted and cold I got. As a lawyer, you might find plenty of reasons to corner her, but she was the woman you wanted to marry, right? Shouldn't you be looking at what made her unhappy and what went wrong? You're supposed to be a lawyer. Finding mitigating circumstances even for those who've committed crimes. Yet you don't even show sympathy for the bride you hurt. You can't even acknowledge the fact that you hurt her. Are you trying to lecture me? She was angry because of your thoughtless words and selfish actions. You didn't listen to her and did whatever you wanted. You've always been like that, saying whatever you want without caring about how others feel. You're still living your life not knowing that it's not a good feeling, not only for the person you're talking to, but also for the people around you who are listening to you. Shut up. I came here to tell you. In the end, you're an incredibly smart guy, admired by teachers, and that's why you became a lawyer with extensive knowledge. But that's all you are. You can't empathize with people or adjust to their feelings. Suddenly, water splashed in my face, dripping from my cheek. Don't get cocky just because I'm listening quietly. Amazing. Even someone who knows the law can't control their temper. This would be assault, right? And if I catch a cold from this, it could be considered battery. I pointed at my wet phone on the table. If this phone breaks, you might be looking at property damage charges. You used to do this kind of stuff in high school too, didn't you? Back then. You didn't know the law, so you acted recklessly. But knowing the law isn't enough. Even lawyers lose their temper. Suddenly, a woman standing beside me offered a handkerchief. Lisa. What are you doing here? Did you guys set me up? Don't be ridiculous. How self-centered can you be? I was just meeting someone else here. I was sitting in the back. David turned around hastily. Behind him was a meeting room separated by a glass wall. The flight attendants from the other day were watching us. See, it was a setup. I was supposed to meet them here originally. That's why I first told you that today was not available due to another matter. But you insisted. So I agreed to meet you at the same place, just earlier. It's you who showed up an hour late and yet, no apology for being late. You call yourself a professional while you look down on others, calling them geek or something. How about taking a good look at your own behavior? Has anyone, even one person, complimented you on what you've done this time around? David stood up. Oh, running away again? You always pushed off unpleasant tasks onto others. Fine, go ahead. I didn't have any business with you anyway. Before you go, let me tell you something. I was not tricked by him anyway, and it has nothing to do with the breakup with you. I divorced you because I don't love you anymore. Got it? I can't stand the sight of you, David. If you want to sue me, go ahead. Your threats have been overheard by the staff at the venue. There's plenty of evidence. Honestly, it was a very emotionally distressing day for me. For a moment, David and Lisa glared at each other, but David dropped his gaze and left. Originally, the wedding was supposed to be 3 months later. Lisa had been going to the spa to prepare herself, and her colleagues supposed to take a day off on that day. But in a surprise move, she was suddenly turned into a bride at a hotel meeting for her birthday celebration. This was entirely David's idea. At first, even her family was against it. But it was an off-season for weddings, which made it cheaper. Having already received funds from his parents, David decided to move the date to save money. He staged a grand event, dragging everyone into his scheme to have the wedding on her birthday. On the surface, it seemed like a thoughtful gesture from the groom to surprise the bride, so everyone cooperated. But for the bride, it was a complete disaster. She didn't get to choose her dress, hairstyle, or any part of the ceremony. The wedding was supposed to be a special moment for the bride. Her friends had concerns. But it was ultimately the couple's decision, so they kept quiet. The frequent dress changes were special arrangement for the bride by David. But she seemed to be filled with humiliation as she had to keep laughing as she was forced to change dresses she didn't like. It wasn't supposed to be like this, she said every time she walked out of the venue. But David was forcing his way through with the same selfishness as ever. She continued to hold out, at least until the ceremony was over. She really wanted to cancel the after party. It was quite common for brides to be too tired for wedding. She wanted to cancel, even if she had to lie. But since David had planned to skim off some of the event fees, he insisted on bringing her to the after party. The two had a dispute, which delayed their arrival. Lisa, determined to endure until the end, finally exploded when she saw David mocking the guests in public. I was just caught in the middle and neither tricked her nor caused the breakup. And yet, making accusations against me was enough to make me want to sue him for defamation too. After David left, I moved to the meeting room where the flight attendants were waiting and began my interview, discussing their experiences. My eldest sister's similar job, and merchandise ideas. Despite their job requiring constant smiles, they were working in the confined space of an airplane with no escape. There was no right way to work in the customer service industry. One passenger might praise them for being attentive, while another might complain about being overly intrusive. Crying children, medical emergencies, bad weather. Every flight seemed to bring a new set of challenges. Delays weren't their fault, but complaints came straight at them. Moreover, behind the scenes, they had to pay more attention to their senior colleagues than they did to the passengers. Rumors traveled faster than jets. And they had to pay attention to other colleagues' feelings and sometimes took the blame for others' mistakes to keep the peace. Since they worked with different teams on each flight, they constantly had to rebuild relationships, which was exhausting. My sister often shared these kind of stories with me, making me feel sorry for them even when I see smiling flight attendants now. She used to be shocked by senior colleagues bad-mouthing passengers and co-workers. But now she was so used to it that she said it would be a disaster if she started doing it too. My sister's story like that made them sympathize with her, and then it would come back to me even more. I thought that it is because of this communication that I end up socializing with people and I draw manga. Nothing stabilized emotions like empathy. Lisa, too, decided to quit her job, fed up with the drama among the women. Despite her dream of joining the airline, she was filled with frustration, prompting her parents to suggest marriage. They introduced her to an elite lawyer through their connections, thinking it was a trustworthy profession. However, the secret wedding and subsequent handling of things showed such a lack of sincerity that even her parents were disappointed and apologized to her. Fortunately, they hadn't officially registered their marriage yet. Mike was thrilled to have met David's college friend at the after party, a lawyer, which broadened his network. Apparently, David was the same way in college. Despite attending for 6 years, only 2 friends were invited. One of whom left during the long wait. The other guy was looking bored, so Mike struck up a conversation with him while they ate delivery food. He was also a lawyer's son, attending in place of his father. It seemed that David only had relationships like that. Recently, through Mike's introduction, the 3 of us had drinks together and I decided to create a story featuring Karen as a lawyer. Incorporating legal education. David served as the basis for the villains in my comics. Thinking about how David would say or do certain things provided inspiration for me to create characters. Thinking about it, maybe all my hard work back then was paying off a little. Given the hardships he caused me, I would make good use of them. Lisa's sister, who had been troubled, changed after meeting Megan. She watched Megan's videos and became interested in the props which were used there, eventually working on making them herself. She particularly enjoyed creating miniature food, insisting on knowing the real thing, so Lisa took her out to try sweets and buy materials, slowly helping her become more active. Recently, she also started selling her artwork in Megan's online store. And the income she was able to generate seemed to have boosted her confidence. Megan planned to support her until she could manage her own shop. Half a year after the chaotic wedding, Lisa now works at a hotel front desk. While Lisa introduced her sister to Megan and I introduced Mike to a flight attendant who was a former colleague of hers, Lisa and I ended up dating. The hotel, frequented by many international guests, suits her well with her language skills and refined service training. It's less hectic than being a flight attendant, and the clientele is generally better, making her job more comfortable. However, every field has its own David. And then, this guy insisted that making him stand at the reception desk showed poor service. He claimed he was a regular and should be attended to in his room. He acted like a celebrity, but turned out to be just a rude old man. It was so disappointing. Lisa kept talking. As I listened to her, I mentally recreated her story with Karen. It must be an occupational hazard. So, he asked me to come to his room, so I asked to Chris, my supervisor, to come with us. But the guy got angry, insisting only I came along. Then Jason, the manager, quickly had 2 senior staff members on break wait by his room. We all opened the door together and said, "Please enjoy your stay," before closing the door. Oh my, you never know what might happen if you go alone. You have to be careful. Hey, there is a cafe nearby that serves delicious cakes. Let's go. Even though we just had a meal and I was full, women always seem to crave sweets. On a sweets tour with her sister, Lisa became obsessed with the allure of sweets. I've been taken there often, too, so I have more chances to eat something sweet. Eventually I'm going to have to draw Karen struggling to lose weight.